Hello and welcome to Montclair News Lab. I'm Zach Taglioli. This week, a special look at the impact COVID is having on Montclair State. Let's check out what's coming up.
What will Montclair State look like next semester? We'll ask the Dean of Students.
Students have been really challenged to really think outside of the box.
How New Jersey colleges handled COVID will take you around the state.
We've done a good job at mitigating and tracking to the best of our abilities.
And students speak out on what 2020 was like and what they hope for 2021.
We all getting through this together.
All of that and more coming up for you today on Montclair News Lab.
We start today with a timely look at how COVID has affected everything at Montclair State University and what next semester might look like. In an interview with News Lab Samantha Sutter, the university's Dean of Students, Marjorie Coleman Carter, discusses the difficulties and triumphs of the semester just ending.
Thank you so much for joining me here today, Dean Coleman Carter. So I'm just going to get right into the questions. Every indicator is saying that for the next 3 months is going to be the worst for COVID cases. What is the next semester going to look like for students?
Our plans are to kind of continue to operate in the same mode that we have been. We are going to start the semester later, so we're not starting the first day of classes until February the 8th. And that way it does give us a little bit of time to kind of move out of that cold and flu season. From a student life perspective, we know this has been very, very tough this semester because students haven't been able to get together and program and have all these things. And so students have been really challenged to really think outside of the box in their programming ideas and, kind of really even more so get into this whole virtual space.
And for the few students that do end up coming out to campus, how would you say that Hawk Check has been doing since it was implemented this semester?
Hawk Check is important. Hawk Check is working well and people are really compliant with that. But that is certainly our way to keep track of who's coming to campus, who's on campus, anybody who's been exposed or who needs to be quarantined, because we're doing quarantine on campus.
We're still pretty excited for the anticipation of the vaccine in the spring. Is this something that the school is going to require students to get?
There's going to need to be, I guess, some kind of list or order of who gets the vaccine first. That needs to be done. So where college students fit into that, it's probably going to be regulated, not just by Montclair State University, but regulated by the government, as to who gets the vaccine. So I wouldn't want to say that the university is going to require students to have it because we don't know who's going to be able to get it.
What is something that you realized since moving the classes from in-person to online this semester?
I didn't realize how powerful the virtual world was, to be able to still see their professors, to see their counselors, to see their deans, to talk to them and have meaningful conversations with them. So I never thought I would see, this mode of service delivery so prevalent and effective.
As the semester comes to an end, what would you say is one of the university's best success of this year?
What success looks like to me is that the class of 2021 makes it to commencement. So that's success for me, and that as many people as possible survive this pandemic. And we've been very fortunate here.
Wow, that's really amazing to hear about the university. Thank you so much for your time and information, Dean Coleman Carter.
Everybody's talking about the COVID vaccines that are about to be released. But on the Montclair campus, the buzz is about a different kind of vaccine, the flu shot, as Crystal Santos reports.
The university is having a spike in COVID-19 cases, with dozens being reported. And they recently announced that all students on campus must have a flu shot. Stephanie Silvera, a Montclair State public health professor, says she thinks it's a good idea.
Right now, the symptoms of flu and COVID are very similar. And so if we can prevent people from getting the flu, that makes it a little bit easier to discern when people show up with these flu-like illnesses.
Montclair State student Gabby Tancredi, who does not consider herself an anti-vaxxer, believes the university did a poor job communicating information about this new requirement to students.
I think that they're kind of, forcing this on us without a lot of answers or explanation. I think that we deserve that. I think that I need that before I go get it.
Tancredi says she has not gotten the flu shot in the last couple of years and does not plan to do so this winter.
I just don't want to. I don't feel like it's necessary.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that getting a flu vaccine will not protect against COVID-19, but that there are many benefits, such as saving healthcare resources for the care of patients with COVID-19. Flu shots do not cause the flu, so there's no harm in getting the shot.
Students are upset, potentially, about being told they have to get the flu vaccine, but you also had to get the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine in order to live on campus.
Students like Charlie Filatico says he's been getting a flu shot since he was little.
Personally, I don't mind getting the flu shot or having it be required. I got it before it was a requirement. I don't see it being really any different than having them give us like a mask mandate or a mandate on how many people you're allowed in your room.
The deadline to submit proof of your flu vaccine was the day before Thanksgiving on November 26th. And although many students have already moved out, it's unclear how many students actually met the deadline and got the shot.
Do you have a choice to not do that? Of course, you always have the choice to not do that, but then there may be consequences, and perhaps not being able to live on campus is a consequence.
We reached out to the university's health department several times, but never heard back. However, the Dean of Students, Marjorie Coleman Carter, did give us this brief comment.
The flu shot is something, yes, that we're going to still probably require.
Many questions remain unanswered, but flu shot or no flu shot, ultimately it's a personal decision that students will have to make. For Montclair News Lab, I'm Crystal Santos.
This semester has been a challenge for all universities. Our reporter Kalima White takes a look at what some institutions across New Jersey, including our own, have done to manage the spread of the virus and keep the semester going.
There are almost 300,000 college students in New Jersey, and COVID has impacted almost all of them. Rutgers is the largest university and most classes are online with the exception of lab classes. Josephine Sase, a senior at Rutgers Newark, believes her school has taken the necessary precautions because only 39 cases were reported through the end of November.
I think Rutgers did a good job.
Sase gets tested weekly in order to stay on campus.
And they actually provide it for you. So you have to submit a COVID test like every week or you're going to get evicted from housing.
Rowan and Montclair State University require their students to do a daily check-in to track their symptoms before going on campus. Montclair has HawkCheck, online self-assessment that asks students if they have any of the COVID symptoms and if they have been around anyone who has tested positive before they are allowed on campus. As of late November, there have been 134 recorded cases on Montclair's campus. A graduate student, Francis Amechi, feels safer with the HawkCheck.
And they have HawkCheck, which is when you have to, check your temperature at home before you go on campus.
Through the end of November, Rowan University has 786 confirmed cases, the highest number of cases on a college campus in the state. But the director of the Wellness Center at Rowan University, Allie Pierce, says the school has control over the spread.
I think that we've done a good job at mitigating and tracking to the best of our abilities. We're really following the county and the state's guidance. So we are testing students if they feel symptomatic.
Shaylin Clark, a sophomore at Rowan University, stayed on campus despite the rise in cases because students were not following safety protocols.
So now I don't feel as safe as I did in the beginning because it doesn't seem as the students here really care that much.
Rowan updates the confirmed positive chart 3 times a week, and Allie says the school hasn't closed down because it would leave many students without a place to live.
Sometimes universities are the primary residence of students, and this is primarily where they live.
Other schools like Raritan Valley Community College in Bridgewater has a report of 22 cases through the end of November. All of their courses are online. Second-year student Alfred Osei says online is the best way to fight COVID.
I don't think any school should have opened in general. It was to really put a lot of trust in the students to follow directions and wear masks, and everywhere they go, wash their hands, sanitize, gloves. It's a lot.
A second wave of the coronavirus is sweeping the state once again, and schools are tightening restrictions, but there's hope that a vaccine will change everything, and schools will begin to be back to normal. From Montclair News Lab, I'm Kalima White.
Think of university traditions. The football games, tailgates, homecoming. What happens when a pandemic hits and everything goes virtual? Deanna Roma has the story.
Homecoming in the past has been a campus-wide event full of socializing, games, and activities for students and alumni, until this year. Jean Morano, the vice president for student alumni engagement, was afraid that homecoming would be canceled. But then they had an idea.
Let's make it a virtual celebration because we weren't sure at the time what the limits would be on indoor, outdoor.
Morano and her team made the call to go virtual last spring.
At least 6 months out that we start to put events and activities together. Vendors are extremely expensive. Contracts have to be signed pretty early on.
Homecoming wasn't the only student experience that had to change. Academic advising also had to go virtual. George Elian is a professor at the School of Communication and Media who also advises students, some of whom he's met only online.
And emails sometimes get answered within minutes, sometimes not for a few days. And as you know, with registration, your window of opportunity to register is limited.
Despite the limitations, Professor Elian believes the shift to online advising is working out well.
We just went through a whole registration period, and ultimately everybody got what they needed.
But not for everybody. Nicholas Sisti, a communication and media arts major, says online advising just isn't the same.
It was possibly less effective because there was less of a direct connection with my personal advisor.
The most important factor for students, faculty, and staff this semester is that everyone remains safe, and if that means shifting to online, then that is what MSU will do. From Montclair News Lab, I'm Deanna Roma.
This semester was surely one for the books. We asked a variety of Montclair State students to look back and to look ahead.
Mentally draining.
The mess.
It didn't really go as planned.
Balancing virtual school with internships and work and everything else, and making sure I don't get coronavirus, it becomes very stressful.
It's being a hands-on learner, so being online was a little difficult in my learning experience.
Honestly, I have no idea. I think it depends on what people decide to do. If people want to stay home, then hopefully it'll go away. But if things keep going the way they are, I feel like this might become the new normal. Hopefully it doesn't, but who really knows?
I think the world will be a lot more open to things now since we have faced so much challenges this year. So I feel like everyone's going to appreciate life a little more.
When COVID ends in the future, I see it making us appreciate the little things more.
I think the world needed to change, and I think we all needed to slow down and, learn to enjoy the little things in life. And I think that's what it did, even though it cost us a lot.
Well, I hope that once the vaccine comes out, it'll kind of die down a little bit, but I don't think that'll necessarily be the case.
Hopefully, if it does well, we can come back to campus. I hope so. However, I still think everything is uncertain. It just depends.
I do hope that in terms of Montclair and everything else that, students are able to come back and it could be the way it was before COVID.
I think Zoom is a little difficult, but we all getting through this together.
It's been an unexpected roadblock that has affected the entire world. However, it will not stop me from attaining my college degree.
That's all we have for you today. Be sure to tune in next week for our final show of the semester. I'm Zach Taglioli. Stay safe and stay smart.